This is News 8 Now.
Good morning. I'm Catherine Garcia. Making headlines at 7:56. Authorities are now confirming foul play in the death of a 10-year-old Navarro County girl whose body was found overnight in a creek bed near her home. April Bryant had been missing since Sunday and the focus of an Amber Alert. The Sheriff's Department says a suspect led them to her body. That suspect is now in custody. A high-profile case involving an alleged kickback and the Texas prison system finally heads to trial today. Prosecutors say several years ago, former Texas Department of Criminal Justice Director James Andy Collins ordered staff to bypass state purchasing rules to buy a meat substitute called VitaPro to feed inmates. Prosecutors claim Canadian businessman Yank Barry paid Collins at least $20,000 to secure the multi-million-dollar contract. A new report says inaccuracies in the 2000 census could prove costly for dozens of states, including Texas. The study was conducted by a Democratic-backed panel, which claims minorities, the poor, and children were all undercounted. The report says Texas could lose more than $1 billion over the next 11 years if undercounts are not corrected. Now let's head to Greg Fields, and he's got everybody happy today because he says there's at least a chance of rain, right?
Yeah, if you're one of the lucky ones here, Catherine, that picks up some showers and storms today, we do have that in the forecast. Looking at partly to mostly cloudy skies, as we do have plenty of high and middle level clouds across the area this morning. Temperatures looking this way, 73 in Denton right now, 76 out at DFW, and as you head over toward Love Field, looking at 76 as well. Now, we did have plenty of showers and storms off to our east yesterday, and some of those did drift into parts of North Texas. We'll have a slight chance of more of the same happening later today. Only going to get up to around 93 or so, I think. We do have a level red air pollution watch in effect with that mix of sun and clouds and maybe some evening thunderstorms, otherwise partly cloudy for tonight with a low of 75. Catherine?
Thanks, Craig. And we'll have more news at 8:25. I'm Catherine Garcia, Channel 8 News.
This is News 8 Now.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Debbie Denman, leading the news at 8:25. Authorities confirm foul play in the death of a missing 10-year-old Navarro County girl. Her body was found overnight in a creek bed about 6.5 miles away from her Mildred home. April Bryant had been the focus of an Amber Alert, and the Sheriff's Department, says a suspect led them to the body and is now in custody. The Dallas County Medical Examiner will perform an autopsy. And in other news, the Caravan of Dreams in Fort Worth will close its doors. The club was one of the first construction projects in Sundance Square, and a major reason people began going downtown after dark. It began as a jazz blues club, but over its 18-year history evolved to feature a variety of musicians. Now, Riata Restaurant will take over the space in early 2002.
Riata will occupy the lower level, the street level, and the rooftop grotto and bar of the Caravan of Dreams building.
And yes, people are very passionate about this facility and what this facility is about. But the key is, you know, we're not bringing someone in that the community's not passionate about.
The Caravan closes September 29th with the final show featuring Brave Combo from Denton. The Riata expects to open after major renovations. Well, a new chapter is beginning in the story of the Texas Theater, the Dallas landmark where Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested after the assassination of President Kennedy. Now has a new owner. The Oak Cliff Foundation plans to renovate the theater and open it as a community center and playhouse. And commuters driving into downtown Fort Worth might meet with a little less traffic on the way home from work. The Interstate 35W southbound ramp to eastbound I-30 will open today. The ramp also will provide access from I-35W southbound to US 287 southbound. So that should help out a little bit for you motorists. Now let's check on your traffic for you, and Michael Scott has that. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Debbie. We've got delays moving out of Oak Cliff toward downtown Dallas, northbound on I-35. This wreck is between Marsalis and Ewing. It is right between, or actually right in front of the Dallas Zoo. Left lane taken away, and this is causing some backups here on I-35. The delay stretches back beyond the Zane curve. Big problem this morning has been in McKinney on Central Expressway is shut down both directions, north and southbound, between Weston Road and Wilmouth Road. That was a wreck involving an 18-wheeler. I'm Michael Scott for News 8 Traffic.
Oh, for crime, doesn't anybody in this house know what it costs to pay for all these lights?
Texans, are electric bills driving you crazy? The average TXU customer can save $142 with New Power. Use more than average, you'll save up to $230.
Okay.
New Power, the smarter way to power your home. Call now.
Husbands, wives, and money. The gloves are off. Stay-at-home moms put on an allowance. Spouses counting every cent. Tightwads, spenders. The battle lines are drawn, and neither side is budging.
The last thing I need now is someone telling me what I can buy at Walgreens.
Dr. Phil settles the score. Money Wars. It's getting ugly. Next Oprah.
This afternoon at 4 on Channel 8.
A rare portrait of Alamo defender Jim Bowie has a new home in Austin. The state purchased the work at an auction for more than $300,000. At yesterday's unveiling, Governor Perry said officials acted quickly to keep the painting from going to non-Texas bidders. For now, it will join those of other Texas heroes in the state's artifact collection. Now let's check in with meteorologist Greg Fields, and you say we just may get some rain. The chances improved, huh?
Well, I don't know about that. A few folks got lucky yesterday. We'll have a slight chance of a few more people getting some later this afternoon, so hopefully you will be one of the lucky ones later this afternoon. As we look out across the area this morning, we do have hazy sunshine out there, some high and middle level clouds, and temperatures beginning to warm once again. 77 right now at DFW, up to 81 at Addison, and now up to 78 there in Denton. There are other showers and storms that popped up mostly in East Texas yesterday, but a few did drift into parts of North Texas. And again, with the moisture working its way into the area, with the heat of the day, we'll see some very widespread showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, but only going to get up to around 93 or so. We do have a level red air pollution watch in effect for today, and back down to 75 for tonight. Debbie, back over to you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll keep our fingers crossed for that rain. That's our news and weather for 8:25. Join us in half an hour for News 8 at 9. Good Morning Texas. I'm Debbie Denman, Channel 8 News. We return you to Good Morning America.
Coming up next on News 8 at 9, Good Morning Texas. When it comes to managing money, many women still have a lot to learn. And if you're one of them, we'll introduce you to a woman who can help you find your financial way.
And heading back to class can be exciting for kids, but it can also be a little nerve-wracking. So we will tell you how to beat those back-to-school jitters.
Plus, lugging all those books home from school in a backpack can be back-breaking for kids. There's new products that can take away that pain, and we'll talk about those.
Now let's check in with Greg Fields for the latest and look at the forecast.
Yeah, it's still looking pretty warm out there and a little more humid out there today. We saw some showers and thunderstorms pop up across the area yesterday. I think that's going to be the same case today. A few lucky people will pick up some rain and thunderstorms, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Otherwise, as we look out this morning, I'll have that complete forecast coming up a little bit later in the show.
All right, we'll check back with you. Thanks, Greg. Stay with us. News 8 at 9, Good Morning Texas. We'll return in just a minute.
Now you can access over 1 million unpublished airfares. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Cheap Tickets has airfares you can't find anywhere else, and they're up to 40% off. Cheap Tickets, the best kept secret in travel for over 15 years.
Home Story, a complete guide to building, buying, and maintaining your home, brings you tips on home financing. Good credit is the cornerstone. Consumers should obtain their credit report at least once a year and review for accuracy. If you have poor credit, all other aspects of the loan should be in order. Equity, stability, and income will play a larger role in the approval process. If you've had credit problems, discuss them honestly with your mortgage professional and come to your meeting with a written explanation. This edition of Home Story brought to you by W.R. Starkey Mortgage.
The gigantic inventory reduction sale is going on now at Vandergrift Chevrolet with incredible rebates on Chevy S10 trucks. Get a $2,500 rebate on any 2001 S10. Put the cash back in your pocket. Reduce your price. Use the $2,500 any way you want. Or for just $15,599, drive home a new 2001 full-size Silverado with automatic and AC. Don't miss the gigantic inventory reduction sale. Visit Vandergrift Chevrolet today at I-20 and Cooper in Arlington across from the Parks Mall.
Vandergrift Chevrolet.
From WFAA TV, News 8, the spirit of Texas, this is News 8 at 9 a.m. Good morning, Texas.
Good morning. Welcome to News 8 at 9. Good morning, Texas. We've got a great show lined up for you today.
Yeah, we do. We're talking about going back to school. It's a big time for kids, obviously. A big time, too, for parents. And Dr. Pete Stavanoa from Children's Medical Center will be here to tell us about some of the things that you can do to get your kids ready, kind of help them make the transition, especially if this is the first time, if they're very young and they're just going to school for the first time. So Dr. Pete will be in to talk to us.
Kids are so nervous right about now. And you also need to feed your kids well, and you need to eat well. So we'll talk about eating well. Dr. Miriam Nelson has a new book out called Strong Women Eat Well. You like the title of that? Well, so many of us do not eat well. We've been kind of listening to those fad diets, the protein diets.
Right.
I know I've tried them a few times. We'll talk about why you should not do that and how you can eat healthy and eat the right foods, and there are recipes, and you'll want to stick around for this one. It just gets you back to the basics.
And what do you got coming up, Catherine?
Well, I'm going to be talking to Vicki Collins to start off with, and she runs a program that's called What Mom Never Knew. Now, if your mom is like my mom knew everything I was up to. In fact, she had eyes in the back of her head. So we'll see exactly what that's about. Actually, it's about finances and how, you know, times really are changing. So things that your mother didn't have to worry about, we probably do have to worry about a little bit more. We're also back to school. You're talking about back to school. Yep. So in that spirit, here's what they're thinking might be what kids are going to do. They're going to use those little rolly bags that you see at the airport. Now,
they look like flight attendants.
For backpacks, right?
Yeah, so that it doesn't hurt their backs. Now, I know that the last thing I worried about was hurting my back, and you know, you carry it on one shoulder because that was cool. So we'll look at those, though, and see what's out there and figure out what kids may be using coming up.
New products for back to school. Good.
If they're rolling around with that, if they have a heavy book bag, they're going to sweat if they're doing it in the heat. Let's go over to Greg Fields now and get a check on this weather. Greg?
Yeah, those backpacks, though, they're pretty neat. My niece wants one of those. She's 9 years old, so my wife and I had to go back out and find her one of those. Those are pretty cool. So if you are going back to school, or when we do go back to school, most of us, some are already back in, we do have a level red air pollution watch for today. And actually, there's only going to be one sun out there today. I know that says suns and clouds, but just one sun as we head toward the lunch hour. We'll be have temperatures in the mid and upper 80s by then. We'll top out around 93, maybe 94 degrees. A few afternoon thunderstorms will pop up later today. And as we head toward 10 o'clock tonight, we'll have partly cloudy skies, maybe a few evening thunderstorms, but I think those will begin to settle down after sunset. We'll have temperatures by then back into the middle 80s. Let's get another look at traffic this morning with Michael Scott.
Well, we've had that big mess in the McKinney area this morning on 75 Central Expressway. It is still shut down northbound 75 north of McKinney at Wilmoth Road. Traffic must exit there and use Highway 5 as your alternate route. And in fact, that's a pretty good idea if you're out of McKinney at all. Go ahead and use Highway 5 up toward Van Alstyne heading toward Sherman. This is because of an 18-wheeler that burned up early this morning. It was carrying lead-acid batteries. So hazmat crews are on the scene here, and traffic's very slow for about a mile and a half. Southbound onlookers have dissipated, though, so if you're coming in from Sherman Denison toward Dallas today, not too much of a hassle to deal with till you start heading back north. Construction to watch for today on Simmons Freeway, I-35 northbound, heading from the President George Bush Turnpike up toward Frankfort. Traffic is slow because the left lane's closed there. I-30 east and westbound between MacArthur and Loop 12, one lane in both directions closed due to road work today. And in Fort Worth, westbound I-20 at Anglin, you'll find construction there till 4 today. I'm Joe Isom with News 8 Traffic.
Thank you very much, Joe. And top of the news right now, Navarro County officials are awaiting autopsy results in the death of a missing girl.
10-year-old April Bryant disappeared Sunday from her home in Mildred. Channel 8's Melissa Tamplin joins us now from the Sheriff's Department in Corsicana with the latest on this story. Melissa?
Well, good morning again, Chris and Debbie. The stepfather of April Bryant is expected to be arraigned within the hour. Michael Zock is facing charges of capital murder for the alleged abduction and murder of his 10-year-old stepdaughter. Family members of the little girl have spent the past 2 days searching for April after she disappeared Sunday morning. Last night, authorities found her body in a creek bed 6 miles southwest of her home. One by one, they called family members in to tell them of the tragic news. This morning, friends and family members of the family went by the home to console the mother. They say they believe Michael Zock is responsible for April's death.
Was she ever scared that he would do something to her child? Did she ever talk about that?
No, but she was afraid that he would do something to her. And she has tried to get him put away into a center because he's mean.
When he gets that dope and taking that dope, he goes crazy. And like she said, he come down here and tore her house up while she was gone. And her little car sat there in the driveway, and he come down here and busted every window out of that car, even the mirrors, headlights, and everything, and just getting back at her.
The yellow ribbons and signs were hung as symbols of hope that April Bryant would one day come home. Unfortunately, there's a very tragic ending to this story. Now, an arraignment is scheduled to take place this morning here in Corsicana at the Sheriff's Department. That is set for 9:30, and then the FBI and Sheriff's deputies are scheduled to hold a news conference at 11. Live in Corsicana, Melissa Tamplin, back to you, Chris and Debbie.
All right, thanks very much, Melissa. You know, most of the time, the Amber Alert is very effective when North Texas children are missing.
Now, a similar plan is being pursued for Alzheimer's patients who wander away from home. Channel 8's Janet St. James has the details.
She said, "Do you remember how old you are?"
When Ernest O'Neill slipped away from home last month, no one knew he'd been missing until police happened upon the dazed and confused Alzheimer's patient sitting under a tree. Officers only knew where he lived because he was wearing a special ID bracelet called Safe Return. Alzheimer's patients are reported missing to police more than 34,000 times a year. And while wandering is always potentially dangerous, in extreme weather conditions like this heat, it could be deadly.